No, man, I just got in. Just come in. I came in early for the meeting.
You zooming schoolwork?
No, my sorority would initiate me in the membership.
Hey, how you doing, man? What's up? How you doing?
And so I
What do with it, man? Nothing.
woke up ready to go in the car while I'm driving.
Oh, no problem. No problem.
I'm being here with all these
I know, right?
dry erase
Got time to go get it. Clear. Damn.
Hurry up.
right on out here. They don't have them.
Hey, don't let it get put on the agenda on the road for next month.
Also, I think they rotate
Speed
the
bump
who
they got.
Yeah.
I'll talk to you about, out there on Trenton Road. Yeah. If you want to do that.
Good evening, everyone. We're calling to order for the meeting on tonight at 5 o'clock. Ms. Trina, would you do the invocation, please?
Sure will. Bow our heads, please. Oh, gracious Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for allowing us to be here on this evening. I ask Heavenly Father that as we speak, that you speak through us, that you allow us to do what is best for best for the parish, Heavenly Father, and best for the citizens of the parish. This is blessings I ask in your Son Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Follow me in the pledge, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Excuse me. So we're going to skip down to announcements. There being none. We have a couple of guested public comments. Mr. Steve Caldwell of Mansfield Enterprise. Is he here? Well, guess not. Well, up next we'll have Mr. Cedric Floyd. And if, for the record, Mr. Floyd, we're going to speak about 8 minutes on the guessing public comments. Okay. After y'all, audience. Chairman told me my time doesn't stop until everybody get a copy, so that's what you do.
We should have did this before the meeting started. She did this before the meeting started.
I actually, that's what he told me, I can pass it out, no time lost.
Thank you.
Mr. Jordan, you going for the record?
put my stopwatch out. Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for allowing me to make a presentation. Cedric Floyd, president of Data Center LLC. The company has been doing redistricting in the state for 43 years. This is my wife of 39 years, and she's assisting me with this round. I'm very familiar with the demographics of DeSoto Parish. But first, I wanted to make sure that you know you have time to get it right. In fact, qualifying for office is August 8th through the 20th. Next slide, Rose. And state law provides that you must have the redistricting plan in the Secretary of State's office 4 weeks before qualifying. That's your sheet of paper that you see up on that. So that gives you from February 21st, 141 days until July 11th to get it right. Okay? Next slide, Rose. Back in December, I made a public records request to the Secretary of State on how many police juries and parish council had already done their redistricting plan, and it was 25 who had not. So you have some company around the state as to parishes who have not completed redistricting as of December. What is redistricting? Redistricting is the balancing of election districts to make equal population. That is redistricting. And there are, if you look at your handout, court cases that talks about one person, one vote, 10%. That's the item number 7. That's a United States Supreme Court case about 10%. Not plus or minus 5%, but 10%. Also, when it comes down to another, number 8, that's another U.S. Supreme Court decision about 10%. That is prima facie illegal if it's over 10% without special consideration. Also, you have a decision, number 9, in the Fifth Circuit. And the next decision, number 10, is a Fifth Circuit case that we'll cover. Louisiana, Texas, and Mississippi is the U.S. Fifth Circuit. So that's number 10. To let you know that 10% is the standard for deviation. Next slide. There's 2 major reasons for, 2 major guidelines for redistricting. One person, one vote, and adhering to the Voting Rights Act. And before you is Section 5 requirements called benchmark. And benchmark applies to Section 2 and Section 5. That is this. If you have a redistricting plan and you apply the next census, such as you had a 2010 plan I did for you, and applying the 2020 census to it, that serves as your benchmark as to how blacks in the state of Louisiana, that's the protected class, is covered. How many districts have to be created, that's covered. And so that page talks about benchmark under Section 5. Now, next slide, Rose, is Section 2. It also, next slide, Rose. Section 2, as it states, Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act prohibits any other things, any electoral practice or procedure that minimize or cancel out the voting strength of members of the racial or language minority groups in the voting population. In Louisiana, that's blacks. So retrogression is when you have districts. Vote dilution is, I've been part of many lawsuits that when you have a large city and you just have 30% black elected at large, then there's vote dilution if a lawsuit happens and they go down to districts in proportion. Okay, next slide, Rose. I wanted to give you an example of retrogression and violating of the Voting Rights Act. 20 years ago, I was doing this police jury plan while the DeSoto School Board had submitted their plan to the Justice Department. This is the letter of objection saying that they violated federal law 20 years ago. In the next page, Rose. As it reads, that this is what it's saying, the standard. Under the 2000 census, 5 of the 11 districts in a current or benchmark plan, that was their 1990 plan, but with the 2000 census, had a total population that's black majority, and it talks about 4 of the 5 districts had black majorities, but the 5th did not. And If you read down the page about retrogression avoidable, that is, if in fact, when it comes down to the benchmark plan, and we'll go to the benchmark plan, if in fact that you reduce the number of black districts, if you reduce the black percentage, that is called retrogression and dilution. Just want to let you see the letter that was actually sent to the DeSoto Parish School Board, because I participate in getting the plan thrown out. Next page, Rose. That's relevant. Here's the retrogression effect as noted, easily avoidable. The school board was not compelled to redraw the districts, but it talks about how it was 5 black majority districts in the benchmark plan in a school district, because they had 4 districts in 1990, say we're gonna scale it back to 4, and the plan was rejected. Okay, next slide. Next slide. And you get a chance to read this. This is, I wanna give you an example of retrogression of vote dilution. This is the 2020 DeSoto Parish School Board benchmark plan. If you look at it, it shows you that going into redistricting, they had 5 black majority districts. District 4, 57%, District 5, 60%, District 9, 60%, District 10, 60% black. This is the numbers according to Mr. Hefner. In District 11, 72% black. Next page, Rose. But the plan that was adopted, because you don't have to go to send your plan to DC, you have to get it locally challenged. This plan, the plan that they did, only has 4 black majority districts in violation of federal law. The plan that the school board had elections on, if you look in the corner, you see District 4 that was black majority before, it's not. But District 5 is, District 9, 10, and 11. So similar to what they did 20 years ago, went into the process with 5 black majority districts, would come out the process was 4. So they didn't send it up to Washington, D.C. You don't have to do that since 2013, but that's a clear violation because I've been a part of 16 voting lawsuits in the state of Louisiana. Move on, Rose, next page. That is this. I wanted to give you also a clear indication as to what happened with the DeSoto Parish School Board. I'm gonna get to the police jury and I'm watching my time. That is this. You see in that, you see January 1st, 2022, you had 5 black majority districts. Now, after the redistricting process, you have 4. Next page. When it comes down to the DeSoto police jury, you see the map. This is the redistricting plan that this police jury passed in 2000 for the 2003 election. As you see, for the first time, District 5, that's gray, went north and not stay hubbed in the Mansfield area, okay? I want to just show you that as populations migrated north or coming down south from that. The next map is I wanted to show you, the next map is how, because of the 2010 census, District 5 went all the way to Linwood. And also, if you look at the map before, District 3 does not wrap around District 2 because that was population growth in the north section. Wanted to show you, and I'll quickly write it down, next slide, Rose, that when it comes down to this present redistricting, your benchmark plan that Mr. Hefner did has 5 black majority districts, 4A, 4B, 4C, 4D, and number 6. And the plan he passed originally, next slide, District C has 5, but the deviation is above 10%. District 5 has a deviation of variance of 8.7, and District 4C minus 7.1 equal 15.5. That was a fatal flaw in the plan, original plan that y'all adopted because the law is 10%. Okay, so what I've done is corrected Plan C. And that's what you see before you. Plan C is a correction of it. And let me just tell you who I am. Been doing this 43 years and longer than anybody. Been part of 16 election suits statewide. The Louisiana Supreme Court, every district court and appeals court in the state. That's my blueprint when it comes down to Shreveport, Monroe, Alexandria, Lake Charles. Have never been on a losing side of a case. Been 16 election cases. I'm gonna give Miss Jody my resume. I did your plan in 2000, did it in 2010. The only reason you had to be held up because your Plan C had a over 10% deviation, which was a prima facie violation of federal law. So what I've done is, when it comes down to Plan CC, that I want you to consider tonight, and if you do adopt it, you don't owe data center anything. If you adopt the plan, you don't owe data, but you have somebody who's been doing this longer than Gary Journer, longer than Hefner, and most successful than them. So what I did is cleaned up Plan C. What I did is that took 2 census blocks from District 5, brought that in line, gave those 2 census blocks to District 2, and then District 3 has some wiggle room, so the excess population in 2, I gave it to 3. And that cleaned up the top of the parish at the bottom. District 4, I think it was 4C had 2 little population, and for that, what I did is that I added population to it to make it come within the number. Now, when it comes down to, I saw it in a letter somebody told me about, and I'm winding it down. Mansfield, for the incumbents that live in Mansfield, was a mess. This is the plan I created, that Mansfield plan right there, for Mansfield that's in effect now. What happened is, Mr. Hefner, for no demographic reason, this is Mansfield. A lot different from over there. And also, this is the incumbents that had Mr. Ernell Jones a half a step out the district. Had Miss Jerry Burrell a half a step out the district. Did not have to be. So part of CC is I cleaned up to make it look similar to what it is now. And it does. Didn't have to be. So what I've done is the person who have done your redistricting 2000, 2010 without a hiccup, and also let me just tell you this though, we are doing redistricting around the state. Your big brothers up north, I'm doing a cattle commission and school board. In fact, cattle commission met the day they finalized that plan Thursday. Your neighbors to the east, Red River Police Jury and School Board, I've done their work already. Your neighbor to the southeast, Natchitoches Parish Council, they're meeting on tomorrow to finalize their plan. And then your neighbors to the south, Sabine School Board and Parish Council and Police Jury, I've done their plan. So, and I'm familiar again with DeSoto better than any other demographer. I've done the city of Mansfield for the last 2 times. I'm doing Manning. Okay. I understand this. I'm the only person that's certified as an expert demographer in all 3 federal courts. To clean up the mess that you have, I'm saying that you should go with Plan CC, and it'll cost you nothing today to clean it up. And the people, whoever concerns they have, they'll be talking in the wind because they will not have a leg to stand on. Because like I said, I understand this. I'm certified as an expert witness. I've done it for you twice. And what I've done is made the plan under 10% deviation. You see it Plan CC. And also I have corrected the Mansfield situation. And also I have added population to the small districts and took population from District 5 by just 2 streets. You used to go to Linwood, a little bit west up at Mr. Rowe. And that's where you're at. So,
Okay, I'm gonna have to cut you short there, Mr.
Anyway,
Floyd.
I've completed pretty much the essence of what I wanted to tell you is that, like I said, I'm doing work to the north, west, and south, and the east. And it's all been successful without a hiccup.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, number 3 on the guest and public comments will be Ms. Stacy Alexander Henderson, MD, corner.
For those of you who have not met, I'm Stacy Henderson, resident of DeSoto Parish, local physician at Ochsner, and recently coroner. So thank you for having me tonight, adding me to the agenda. I really appreciate it on such short notice. I'm coming tonight. You probably received my emails with a letter attached that I sent to Mr. Norton earlier in the week. We are in dire need for some staff in the coroner's office. We currently have 3 death investigators, 1 deputy coroner, which is Mr. Locke. In the past, it has come to my attention we've had 5. Now, during my time, it has only been 3, but in the past, there have been as many as 5 death investigators. At this time, Mr. Locke has accepted a position with the DeSoto Parish Sheriff's Office and is unable to take call between the hours of 6 a.m. and 3:30 p.m. He's unable to leave his duties, and therefore we definitely need some help. He will stay on as chief deputy and continue his duties as chief deputy. He takes the night call as well as myself, and works constantly for the office. Just to remind everybody, it is a 24/7 job. Spoke with Mr. Norton earlier. We've run through some numbers. It would cost about $8,000 per year for 2 more investigators. It's $250 a month per investigator. They receive $100 per death call that they make, as well as $50 for any judicial commitment call that they make, and then also mileage for the deaths. Like I said, I appreciate you considering me, adding me to the agenda, and I hope that you'll consider this because we are in dire need for that. Here again, I'm also a full-time position, take call 24/7 for the coroner's office. I am able to leave if needed, but once again, I'm a full-time emergency physician with patients, and I only need to be leaving for the emergencies. So I would really appreciate if you would consider adjusting your budget to add some more staff to the office. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay. I think we have one more on the guests and public comments, and that will be Mr. Joyner. Gary Joyner. Good evening, Mr. Joyner.
Mr. Joyner, can you hear us? Mr. Joyner, can you hear us?
They wouldn't let me do it, and I was sick.
I'm gonna try again.
They wouldn't let me use Zoom.
What about now, Mr. Joyner? I don't know why it's coming. Yeah, but we can't hear you.
Yeah, just a little bit. No.
What about now? Hold on.
I'll be using
What about
Zoom.
now? Try it now.
I can hear you perfectly. Can you hear me?
What about, all right, I think y'all can hear it now.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So, I'm not even on Verizon and I can hear you. That's great. Thank you for letting me speak tonight.
Yes, sir, Mr. Joyner. If you can hear, we're gonna allow about 8 minutes in speaking.
Oh, that's fine. I won't take that long. Thank you for letting me speak to you tonight on this very, very important issue. And I want to take some umbrage to what Mr. Floyd said. He's an honorable man. He's certainly experienced. He's done a lot of work. However, the 10%, he said that it's not plus 5 or minus 5%. It's from 0. 5 above, 5 below gives you your 10%. It's not 0 to 10%. He pointed that out on Mr. Hefner's plan. I agree with that. The problem that DeSoto Parish has, and has had for 20 years, is that population has left the Mansfield immediate area and gone to the north in droves. And you've had a white flight that's come into northern DeSoto Parish from southern Caddo Parish. And so it has upset the normal way in which population, has been counted from 1845, when the parish was created, up until about 20 years ago. The Mansfield Courthouse Square was the center of population. That's no longer true. It's around Grand Cane, maybe a little bit north. Also, you've got another issue in that African Americans make up about 38%, as I recall. I don't have the figures in front of me, of the total parish population. Yes, you can't retrogress, but if the population is not there, you can adjust it. That's 14th Amendment. That's one person, one vote. Say whatever you wish, however you want to dice it. The city of Mansfield has always been the center of politics for the parish, and it should have been. But today, with one of the plans that I developed, I can show you that you can make 2 districts out of Mansfield with some area outside of it, or 1. 38%, you're looking at 11 jurors. You should have between 3.5 and 4 minority districts. Now, when you do something like that, it does cause problems. One of the things that I've observed in looking at both of these companies' plans is that their number one criteria is race. And you can't do that. You've got to respect everybody, even the way that their compositions of races. I use all persons black as my black population, but instead of using all persons white, I also look at Hispanics and Asians. And for DeSoto Parish, Hispanics make up enough where you can look at them. How do they ally? Well, they used to be Republican. Now they're Democrat more than not. But you can't deny them. You can't just use black and white. Another thing that I would talk about is that the plans, both of these sets of plans, have a really bad ratio of compactness. Shooting down from the north and coming into Mansfield like a lightning bolt in one of them, I believe that's 4B. And it flunks the compactness test on at least 1 to 2 of the districts. So I tried to create something that was compact. And the reason you want compactness is that people that know each other want to vote together. These plans that have been submitted to you rip up small towns like they don't even exist. Poor little Grand Cane was cut into 3 pieces. Now, that's ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. The only 2 municipalities in DeSoto Parish that need to be split, one, of course, is Mansfield, because it's too big to have 1 district, and Stonewall for the same reason. So they're going to share 2 as well. Mr. Floyd talks about how many places he's been there. I was president of the DeSoto Historical Society. My wife's from Mansfield. I grew up with Mansfield kids, and I know them well. And I have a lot of friends in Mansfield, black and white. And I do a lot of civil rights work in building trails. And I'm going to tell you right now, it's not like a foreigner has come in to suggest this. I love that parish. I love DeSoto. So anyway, whatever I'm telling you comes from the bottom of my heart. It's not from some sense of okay, I'm going to get another notch on my holster for knocking off another job. I'm just not going to do it at this point in my career. And oh, by the way, Mr. Floyd, I've been doing it for 40 years as well. This is just something that needs to be done. So I entertain any questions that you've got. Otherwise, I appreciate you.
Any question from the jury?
I want to say something.
Yes,
Because
ma'am.
everybody keeps saying Mansfield, Mansfield, Mansfield. Because these districts coming out of Mansfield, as y'all say, these districts are representing more than Mansfield. Pelican, Rambin, you talking about cutting up these different little towns, but it's all right if you cut them up in the black neighborhood. But when it gets to Stonewall, it's something totally different. Sir, with all due respect, I know you too. I'm from Pelican. And we don't stop anybody that wanna run. If you from Grand Cane, if you from Pelican, if you from Stanley, if you from Logansport, run. But y'all trying to make it look like all these districts coming right out of Mansfield, and these districts just don't represent just Mansfield. And look, I'm gonna put it to you like I put it to everybody else about the street committee. Now let me tell you what the street committee says. The street committee said y'all had this plan the whole time, and it's just certain people that want to see this happen, because certainly the whole parish don't want to see this happen. And for a matter of fact, they say y'all been bragging on 2-3 black districts got to go. So don't come and make me think like you care so much about us, because you don't, sir. Mr. Dunn, I know you. Been knowing you for years. I know
Yes,
what
ma'am.
you about. So don't go there, because don't go there, Mr. John, with me, because I'm not even trying to hear you, Mr. John. The whole aim is to get rid of the black districts. That's y'all aim, and that's what y'all trying to do, which don't represent. You got Carmel, and you talking about breaking up some communities. Ain't nothing wrong with y'all breaking those up. But then you want to bring Grand Cane and then 4B. That's which is my district, so I'm going to defend that. I have no problem with Grand Cane. My problem is serving the people in which I was elected to serve. And when you add 52 roads on top of the roads I already have, that's a concern to me. Not the voters or who got to vote for me, but am I going to be able to serve these people? Because as you know, if it stopped at Kickapoo, at the red light in Kickapoo, if you don't get no roads fixed from there on, the rest of us in trouble. I'm waiting on roads to be fixed right now, Mr. John. And you ought to be one, since you love Pelican so much. Pelican got a whole bunch of them down there need to be fixed.
I agree with you. All right, I want to respond to that. I have known you, and I like you, and I've known you for a long, long time. And I do mean what I say. Well, the roads thing is another issue, because it is so complex, and DeSoto is one of the toughest parishes I know of in how you do your road system and how you allocate your funds, and I would jump on your side in a heartbeat. There's a tenet that you use called communities of interest, and I agree with you. You know, I want people to vote. I want people to run. I want people to get out there and do their civic duty. And if they don't, shame on them. Period. But communities of interest are when you try to keep neighbors together as much as you can. Now, you can't do that along major roads, but as far as Stonewall being put together, it is not. It is sliced in two. It just had to be. And one of the things I like to do is to keep as many towns together as I can. And I understand what you say about being right in the edge of Grand Canyon. Those people vote for you, and, you know, I hope you win. I do. But I just got to follow all of those tenets.
I plan to. Cause
Okay.
people know I'm about people.
Okay, Mr. Journey, that's going to conclude our guest and public comments, sir. We thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Okay.
I have a question.
Item, sir.
How do we get a chance to do Zoom and not show up in person?
Well, it was requested. I granted him that.
But when I wanted to do Zoom, y'all wouldn't let me do Zoom, and I was ill, and I couldn't do Zoom. But that's what I'm saying. We can do stuff for certain people.
Hold on.
There's something
Hold
wrong
on.
with that picture.
I did not know you wanted to do Zoom, Ms. Burrell. Thank you, Mr. Journey. We are to item number G, and it call for additions and deletion to the agenda. Yes, sir. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Come forward. What's your name on the guest?
I'm not on the list. I'm sorry. I'm just asking for a couple of minutes of your time.
Okay. What's your name?
My name is Doug McGee. I am a resident of Gloucester. I was born and raised in DeSoto Parish. I was recently hired as the sales manager for Delta Fuel in Shreveport. It's kind of my understanding you guys are going to be bidding out, going to purchase some type of inventory control system for your fuel in the parish. And so last summer, Delta Fuel was invited to participate. They were not successful in the fuel bid, but we do enjoy and appreciate some of your lubricants business where you guys, motor oils and things like that. But today I come in the very much in the capacity as just a parish resident. So you guys are looking at this fuel management system where you use a card or some type of PIN number would keep theft and make sure you know where your fuel's going to. You guys purchase somewhere in the neighborhood of 300,000 gallons a year of fuel. So you have a vested interest. We all have a vested interest in you doing that. But while I am fairly new to the fuel business, I do think that I strongly believe there's value to the citizens by basically adding this system to your bid package, to your fuel distributor bid package that will go out in the next 3 months. Those guys operate these systems daily. They manage them for other customers. They have a lot of experience with them. That way the parish doesn't have to go out and either hire somebody or buy some kind of warranty program or service program to be on top of the software that you're doing. And, the way I look at it is your fuel distributor should have a vested interest in keeping that running, right? Because if your system's not up and running, you're not able to get fuel, but they're not able to make money and sell fuel. And so that's just, I wanted to bring that to the attention of the jury today, and
Okay. We'll take that into consideration. Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Any call for addition and deletion to the agenda?
I have one, Mr. President.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to take up to add $8,000 to the budget of the coroner so she can hire the additional staffing in which she says she needs. Make that in a motion.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Got a second made the motion by Mr. Baker, got a second by Mr. Kennington. Roll call vote, Ms. Jody?
Mr. Baker?
Aye.
Ms. Burrell?
No. And we didn't get no comments. I can comment, and cause I'm voting no, because I think we need to have more information than just this, because y'all saying $8,000 now, but I heard a whole bunch of specified costs that's gonna be past $8,000. And I think we need to let Ms. Garcia do her due diligence on.
Well, if $8,000 on the budget, it can't exceed that. It can't.
Now, it ain't just $8,000. Y'all just said $8,000 plus $100 every time they go out, plus $50 for something else. No, it can get costly, and I got a problem with voting on something. I don't know just how much this really gonna cost. I mean, come on, people-
8,000 per year?
Can she address it?
Yes, yes.
You can't.
The $8,000 cost includes, it's a guess, it's an estimate of what the average would take per death call plus monthly pay. It's all included in the $8,000. Yes. And the other thing is, I would also like to say, this is a necessity, and I'm stating it's a necessity. We are very understaffed. Mr. Locke is taking call through the night. I'm taking call through the night. We need some help. And by law, if I state it's a necessity, I mean, I appreciate y'all adding me, but it's a necessity.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
by law, she's stating that it's a necessity. I mean, so in other words, we ain't got no say so. If she says it's a necessity, it's a necessity. That's what she's saying.
Well, yes, it's a need for it, a very need for it.
Come on, Rodriguez, now, come on now. Because these folks been running this parish with it. Come on now, all of a sudden it's just a dying need. Yeah. I mean, I'm thinking about the taxpayers and the tax dollars. I mean, I am, because we already gave a $600 stipend. We gave a raise straight up out the front door, and we stood into the pot. I mean, it's the same
But
thing
Ms.
with
Burrell,
the voter registration office.
When the citizens of the parish, when the citizens of the parish loved ones, deceased, I mean, someone have to come and take care of that.
Yeah, I know. It's been getting taken care of all these years. Somebody been taking care of it.
How you plead, Joe?
Once she said no, that killed it. They killed it. So we had to take it up in
Yeah,
Take it up
I
in,
will just wait and
special
take it
meeting.
up.
Yeah.
All right, well, presidential report. Don't have one. Council,
I have no report.
administrator.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just as a side note, the agenda says administrators report twice. I'm only going to give this once. Actually,
They had to give it twice.
The other section K there is for our lobbyists. That was an error. It got by me. I apologize. But our lobbyist is here to give his report after I'm done.
Okay.
All right, first item on my report is, I know the jury's been following or been kind of wondering about the Love's Travel Plaza. I've met with some people from Love's out there. I went and visited with the site manager. I've done that several times since they started the construction of that facility. Basically, due to the amount of rain and the weather we've had, it's been pushed back several months. In addition to some supply line issues they've had with some concrete and whatnot, they are forecasted to open that site about mid-April. So just so the jury will be aware, I think they've been doing some recruiting so far, but we should see the doors open on the facility. And as soon as I'm made aware of a ribbon cutting, I will let the jury know about any ribbon cutting or anything like that. So. Number 2 on there with the sales tax proposition and URL information. The website for the information on the ballot proposition is www.desotovotes.com. That's the web page that we had developed. Basically, it gives some information about the website. It tells constituents they want to look it up. It gives you some pros. It gives you some cons on it. It also gives you information at the bottom of the page when you need to go register to vote, when the election is, how you can go register to vote. You can click on the link at the bottom of the page. That will take you to the registrar of voters office. It gives you a lot of the information, important information. So I know I emailed this out to the jury, but I wanted to go ahead and put this in my administrator's report so the public can see that online as well. Implementation of safety meetings at the road department and solid waste. The road department is going to start having their safety meetings once a month. I talked to Mr. Woodley about this, and that's to ensure all his employees are doing all their requirements, their pre-trips or post-trips.
remind them of any safety issues that may come up as a result of them working at the road department. That there will be a roster taken. Each employee is going to sign off on attending the safety meetings. Likewise, at solid waste, there are safety meetings that they're currently doing. They're going to be doing those twice a month out there with solid waste, because dealing in the landfill is a little more dangerous at times, and the things that they have to deal with. So I've left it up to each superintendent to make a recommendation, and Mr. O'Meara said we probably need to do safety meetings twice a month on that. So just so you guys will be aware of that. Issues at Mundy landfill. We had some questions that were brought to me by some of the jurors about things like shots for tetanus and hepatitis out there at the landfill. I did some investigating on this. Now, our employees, each new employee, when they start, they're offered these shots, and whether they take them or not, that's a personal choice. We don't require them to take a tetanus shot or a hepatitis shot, but going forward, if an employee refuses to take a shot, and we'll make this available to the employees at any time, if they refuse to take a shot, they sign a form and a statement saying, I voluntarily refuse, I'm refusing this shot. So, but regardless, they're going to be offered that shot at least once a year, current employees as well, and new employees will be offered on new hires. We have out there, we installed some what they call mud shakers because of the vast amount of mud that been getting on Highway 84 when these trucks come out of the landfill. It's a cattle gap, and we put it in the road, and every truck that goes in there has to run over these mud shakers to knock the mud off the wheels. State police contacted us and said they're going to start issuing tickets to the landfill because of all the mud. There's been an accident out there. I think it was 2 months ago now. There was an accident where a dump truck jackknifed because of some excess mud and water on the road. So this is a precaution. Since we've implemented new procedures out there, cleaning it daily with the broom truck, we've had no issues with mud. The audio installation, as y'all may have noticed, you can hear each other really well. I think the public can hear us a little bit better. We finally got the audio. This just occurred Thursday of last week, and this is sort of the test session. So the audio is set to a certain level. So if you feel like it's being too loud on you, please let us know. We'll adjust the microphones appropriately. We're working on possibly getting a mute button put on the microphone stands if you want to have discussions about something and you don't want it to be so loud, like if council needs to report something to the president or to another juror. Anyway, the racing, the MBD Motorsports Racing, there has been a question as to if we can ask them to reduce their number of racings that they've done out on Trenton Road. They voluntarily reduced that to 4 races per year. Now, they only have 3 scheduled on the calendar. I went out there after Mr. Hall made those statements at this last meeting. When I went out there, there was no trash on the road. And the sand that they're talking about that's on the road was all the way at the other end of Trenton Road, which is clear mile from any sort of racing event. So I want to make sure I address those issues when they come up. I want to go out there and address them, and I did. I looked at what Mr. Hall raised, so I have not communicated with Mr. Hall about this. I wanted to bring it to y'all's attention. I've looked at all the issues they had, and aside from what I believe to be some people who, when they line up to get in there for the racing, they line up on a public road, and some of them probably block his driveway, but the sheriff's office is out there trying to prevent that. So anyway.
Can I ask you a question, Mr.
Yes, sir.
When we did the contract, did we do it for both places or just at the airport?
No, we did it for both places.
I was thinking just at the airport.
No, sir. It's in there. Trenton Road, they can race up to 6 times per year at the Trenton Road. As long as it's within a controlled environment. And that's the other thing. The things he was alleging were not done in a controlled environment. Everything that's going on out there, the sheriff's department's involved in. We have EMS out there at every single racing event. Yeah, I mean, so I'm not quite sure you know, some of the stuff that he's alleging. I think he's referring to the illegal racing that goes on, not just on Trenton Road. It's all over the parish, from what I understand. But Trenton Road is a popular place because it's a good road, and you got a stretch of road that's really long. So
I guess what I'm trying to understand, what is considered controlled environment? I mean, I can see
You
the
have to-
airport,
you have
if you
to
can
be
block
on a-
both roads off from allowing people to come in. If this, I haven't been down the road, so I'm not
Yeah.
familiar with it, so do
You-
people actually live on there that can't get into their place
no,
if they're racing?
no, not within that area. You can access Trenton Road from both the north-south end and the south end, and everyone who lives on that road has full access during all hours of the night to their property.
So do they have to go out of their way to get to?
No.
No. I mean, the people who are on the south end of Trenton Road go to the south side of Trenton Road to access their property. It's,
I'm just trying to,
Right.
yes,
I mean-
appreciate it, thank you.
so,
What about that church? What did they have in the evening or song? Now I'm from Pittsburgh. This my area. I'm from down here.
I've had no one from the church contact me about any issue.
I'm just asking though, really honestly, Mr. Mike.
Yes, ma'am.
In my opinion, that should have never been done. It's people live on that road, and I wouldn't want that on the road I lived on. Would you want that on the road you lived on?
No, ma'am.
That's what I thought.
Yes, sir.
Am I reading this right? That they're only going to be on Trenton Road 4 times?
Yes, sir. They voluntarily reduced that to 4 times this year. They're currently scheduled on our calendar for 3 times. So she's told me verbally they're only going to be racing 4 times.
Can we prevent them from racing on Trenton at all and just doing it all up here, unlimited time or whatever the jury decides?
No, you can't. Not based on the CEA that the jury made, the agreement they made. She would have to say, yeah, that's fine, and we'd have to do a new CEA.
Well, at our last meeting, I believe was on February the 6th, at 7:56 p.m. There's 6 cars lined up to race on Trenton Road, and there's 11 people standing out on the side of the road visible. So, I mean, clearly they have a problem. If the public's come, I mean, it's not my district, but the public's come and said they got a problem, the people that live on the road. We know that, like Mr. Fuller said, we know that's not going to be a problem up here. I mean, the inmates aren't going to get out. You know, airplanes aren't going to cause a big issue. I don't see why we don't just restrict them up here and let them race all they want to race.
If the jury wants to make that motion, you
Hold on, you say 6 cars were there when we was meeting? That wasn't a controlled
yeah,
race.
that's not a controlled race.
No, it's not. But that's what they're complaining is they know that that's a racing zone, so they're showing up racing just like they do, I guess, on a controlled night. And they caught these folks. But it appears that it's creating an issue. They're not having that problem at Independence. Nobody's showing, or at least they're not getting reports of people showing up street racing, all uncontrolled.
Well, and if I may, the whole idea was the jury was on board for this. They got a lot of illegal racing, right, going on down there. So we thought we could bring it a controlled environment. So the ones that wanted to race, they could race legally. You have to fill out a registration, all that type of stuff. That's what we thought, that it was gonna ease up on the impact with the sheriff, with the illegal racing. But I guess it didn't work out that way.
If I may, one more comment on this subject. The fact that saying that type of racing is making them race on that particular road, it's causing them to go ahead and race on the other public race on that particular road, that is not true. I live on 175, right down the street from Mansfield Battle Park. And they start at the Mansfield Battle Park and go right past my house right before they get to a town racing. You can hear them pretty much every night. Also on Hurd Road, they've been racing on that for years. Cars, motorcycles. So, but yeah, by them racing on the road, now they probably discovered the way we can race on this road because there's racing on it. But I don't think that's any indication that is making them say, wait, let's go, you do this road. They already do racing in DeSoto Parish on various roads. 84? Hey, Mr. North.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. The last item is just to make the jury aware the detention facility bid opening has been moved to February 28th, next Tuesday. We'll have bid that will bring to the jury to award at that time, at the subsequent meeting in March. So that's all I have to report. Anyone have any questions?
Yeah, I have something about your report.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank y'all for taking my recommendations. I went down to the landfill and spent about 3 hours. And I used to drive dump trucks. And two of the most dangerous trucks you can drive is those dump trucks that be down at the landfill and a cement truck. Because they'll turn over in the drop of a hat. And while I was sitting there and I was observing, I saw a lot of safety violations taking place. And we need to really kind of put together some safety measures past just that, Mr. Mike, because like I said, I'll be happy to sit with you because I was in that kind of business. And first of all, not just a safety meeting twice a month, but when I used to drive trucks and that, we had a safety meeting every morning. We had to have a safety meeting. And we might need to put some flaggers in place because when you in those dump trucks, what we had to do, first of all, the driver had to get out to make sure he or she was on level ground to dump. We had a flagger that brought us back to where they was dumping at. I didn't see not one flag. I didn't see them people it was just, I couldn't believe it. They just back in, and especially in that mud, when they just dump, and them trucks will turn over. I'm telling you, quickly, before you can blink eye. I'm surprised one hadn't turned over on one of those dozers and stuff. And some of that material we taking in down there, I disagree with, because that mud, and it's killing them dozers. I used to work in the business, and two of our best dozers is sitting up out there. Two of the best dozers the parish on is sitting there out of fix. They ain't running, but we can get money and pay the sheriff back plus interest on our tax dollars. I can't understand that. Plus we taking in Bolger's wastewater, because I went down the thing to see what was being hauled in there. Why are we taking in Bolger's wastewater to our parish? I'm concerned about them people that live down there. I couldn't stay down there for the stench. We need to do better about that landfill for real.
We're working on that. Last thing, just to remind everyone, Thursday night there's a workshop on solid waste. Greg's asked everyone to attend. It starts at 5 o'clock. So we're gonna Thursday evening at 5 o'clock. There's a workshop on solid waste. There's gonna have a company come and make a presentation to the jury. Okay. And that's it.
All right, thank you, Mr. Michael. Our lobbies report, please. Good evening.
Good evening. Chance McNeely. Good to be with y'all tonight. So just to follow up, I know y'all have a copy of this report. On the Parish Journal issue, we've talked about the issues with the Mansfield Enterprise that lost y'all money. And so we looked into that, and in order for y'all to pick a different publication, they would have to miss 3 consecutive publications. And so they have missed 3, but they have not been consecutive. And for that reason, for lack of better word, y'all are stuck with the Mansfield Enterprise under current law. They would have to either miss 3 in a row or some other kind of act of God that renders them unable to publish. That's really all you can do, so long as you have a publication that exists within your parish footprint. And so that being the case, we did reach out to the Police Jury Association and share our story with them. They are developing legislation again this year, and they have told us that they feel like they have some compromise ideas that they feel better about. We'll work with them hand in hand, obviously, and what occurred here in DeSoto Parish will be useful as far as trying to remedy these issues in the statute. Any questions about that?
No, sir.
Okay. The next item, I wanted to let y'all know, Mr. Norton asked me to look into the historical capital outlay request that y'all have made. I think he asked since 2001. So I did request that information from the Division of Administration. That would be, the actual formal submission that this jury asked the state for, dating back. I did it to the year 2000. And so I submitted that first in an email, but then I went ahead and did a public records request, so that will make them have to respond within a certain period of time. So probably the next week or so, I'll get whatever they have. They have a records retention policy, so they may not have, I think 7 years is maybe what they're required to keep, so I don't know that they're gonna have it going back to 2000, but I did ask for that information, and we'll provide that to y'all, whatever we get from them. And then also that will be helpful in our fight to get you guys more capital outlay money, because we'll be able, I suspect, we'll be able to articulate that the DeSoto Parish has not gotten very much money over in the past. And then just lastly, to reiterate, the session is rapidly approaching. I would tell y'all that the next couple meetings that I come here, I'm probably going to need about 10 or 15 minutes, just because I'm going to have a report with a bunch of bills, and we're going to need to go through them and talk about them. So just a heads up to try to squeeze me in for that. And then I also wanted to let y'all know, I'm sure many or all of you are going to attend the Police Jury Association meeting that's in Shreveport coming up. We're going to be there as well. We feel like that'd be a good opportunity for us to hear from the association about big picture issues that they'll be dealing with, and so we can better serve y'all. We're looking forward to the session starting and representing your interests there. And like I said, we'll have pretty detailed conversations about legislation over the next 2 meetings or so when I come here. And that's all I have for tonight.
Thank you.
Any questions? All right. Thank y'all.
Thank you. Treasurer report, please.
Good evening. I hope y'all had time to review the financial documents. Just to let y'all know, these documents, it's still considered a draft. We're still working on doing end of the year adjustments, accruals. So we're going to be working till the end of February. And we need to get all that to the auditors by the end of March. So hopefully, your February's financials will be better stated. On the first page, I added 2 columns per Mr. Kennington's request about the contingency reserves on the fund balances. If you see there, basically we did the 4-month expense. I just pretty much took my expenditures for the month times 4, and that's how you get to those numbers. Going into the general fund, the ad valorem taxes are about 15% below where they were this time last year. However, we expected that. Our expenses are about 17%, a little bit higher, but you have to take into consideration that we're paying our insurance premium 100% up front in the month of January. So that's going to push those expenses up. On the roads, the road fund, the sales contributions are up roughly about 8%. We did estimate that our sales tax revenue was going to continue to stay up, so that's good news. The expenses are within the norm there. Solid waste revenue, it's really doing pretty good at 25%, while the expenses right now are at 6.8%. However, we just started the year. Airport, OCS, rental assistance, they're all in good standing there. The sinking fund, the entries have been done to move that. Waiting for your approval to move that into a separate bank account. So that would be coming out of the master account, that cash balance, and being transferred to their own separate account if y'all decide to vote on that tonight. The ARPA fund, the only update I have on that as far as money movement has been the grant that we made to the crew of Aquarius per Mr. Mitchell's request. You see that under the general fund under the grants. and that's we're gonna be bringing a CEA for that in the Ronald McDonald's house, but I will be moving from ARPA fund into the general fund. All those, hoping to do that quarterly with whatever y'all decide to do with those allocations of funds, and just, do a quarterly transaction on that. I'm bringing this to y'all's attention as far as the criminal court fund. Talked to the DA and the judge. You're seeing their balance, fund balance of $10,075 on your reports. After we calculated accruals and everything, we have several payments we haven't made. So we're ending up in a deficit for that fund. Roughly 53,000, I think is what we came up with. Waiting to see how we're gonna handle that. I did speak to Judge McCarty. She's, looking at some information. She requested more info today to see whether, she's going to go ahead and do an order to transfer money from the witness and juror to cover that deficit. This is a fund that we've been kind of keeping an eye and crossing our fingers since, I think, spring of last year. So after doing accruals, backing out prior accruals, that's where we're ending up at. I'll let you know how that works out. I mean, we can go into a deficit on the fund, and then the auditors will request, an action of what we plan to do with that. Does anybody have questions?
Have we ever went through the deficit in that fund before?
Yes, sir, we have.
Yeah.
It's been several years, but we have.
Any more questions? Thank you, Ms. A motion to accept the financial statement.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Baker, second by Mr. Ernell Jones. Discussion? None, please vote. Motion passes. Approval of minutes, January the 17th, 2023, regular meeting, January the 19th, 2023, special meeting, February the 6th, 2023, administrative, budget and finance, building and properties, policy and procedure, road and solid waste committees.
So move with all necessary corrections.
Got a motion by Mr. Fuller with all the necessary corrections. Got a second by Ms. Burrell with all the necessary corrections. Discussion? None, please vote. Motion passes. Okay, old business. Adopt the ordinance 3 of 2023 to create the precincts associated with the redistricting Plan H, revised in accordance with Louisiana Revised Statute 18-532 and 18-532-1.
I'd like to make an alternate motion.
So move.
Okay. Well, we got the motion on the floor. Mr. Rowe, Mr. Burrell made an alternate motion.
Yep, I want to make an alternate motion that we add CC, Plan CC, to the agenda to be voted on.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion by Ms. Burrell, CC Plan, and a second by Mr. Yeah, that's passed the.
Right. If
you're gonna add something to agenda, you have to make it, you have to have a unanimous vote to add to the agenda.
Okay. Well, can we have a roll call vote? Ms. Jody?
Mr. Baker?
No.
Yes.
Already did. That's it.
It's already died. So we'll have to go with the original motion. Adopt the ordinance 3 of 2023 to create the precincts associated with the redistricting of Plan H revising in accordance of Louisiana Revised Statute 18.532 and 18.532-.1.
I made the motion.
Mr. Rowe made the motion. We have a second.
Second.
Got a second by Mr. Mitchell. Discussion.
I'm not happy. Are we playing H? And from what I've been emailed and stuff, it don't matter we do plan H or not. Which plan H, Mr. Joyner said it perfectly in his little speech. I think it's 4B. 4B is really in H. I'm the one affected. More than anybody in this room, my district is more affected than anybody. Plan CC was a better plan. It was a good plan, and it put us all on an equal playing field. We all got equal representation. But I see and understand where you all are with this. So to me, it's like y'all ain't gonna give me a fair chance at the redistricting, which is fine, but you gonna need me. That's for sure. I'm telling you now, my plans is to do just like the other complaint. It's the challenge. Plan H if y'all adopt it. I'm just telling y'all the truth.
Okay. Mr. Mitchell?
Well, I respect Mr. Floyd's ability. I really do. But no, Mr. Chair. But I like some of the other jurors. That's the first time I laid eyes on that plan right there tonight. You have to understand where I'm coming from. Plan H, we brought it and went through it. All the jurors made suggestions on it.
Not me. I didn't get that privilege. Mine was shot down, Dwayne.
I don't want to debate with you, Mr. Chair. But everybody they had input. And like I said, and I'll reiterate this, I respect Mr. Floyd, but that's the first time I laid eyes on that plan up there tonight. How can somebody expect me to vote on that plan that I had nothing to do with developing? Everybody in this room had plans, developing the other plan. We had a part in it. And you too, Mr. Jerry. I mean, he may not have done it like you wanted to, but you
exactly, because when it came to me, he didn't do anything.
That's all.
Do you have something to say, Miss? Somebody say?
Mr. Ross.
Mr. Parker. Mr. Parker.
Have we even voted in a district plan yet?
Come out of committee.
So why are we voting about precincts when we ain't even established the districts yet?
That's what the next motion was.
Yeah, that's what the next motion is. It's running hand in
We got
hand.
the cart in front of the horse then.
No. That's how it's supposed to go.
Mr. Ross.
So, Mr. Kenneth?
I just have a question. It's Mr. Floyd, right? Yeah. So I'm trying to wrestle with the fact that on one hand, we've heard that if we adopt these plans, we're violating the law. And on the other hand, we've heard that these plans, from you and Mr. Hefner, I believe, I've heard that these plans don't violate any of the law. So how are we as jurors that aren't judges, and I'm gonna ask Mr. Joyner the same question, but how are we supposed to move in one direction or the other with that statement?
Well, first of all, with the motion, you should adopt a plan for the precincts because your precinct ordinance is in violation of state law because it reads that any precinct established must have at least 300 voters. And your precinct ordinance do not have each precinct with 300 voters, no lower than 2,200, except when it comes down to corporate limits. So your Mr. Hefner was supposed to supply you with a threshold for ordinance 3 that you're not violating state law, and that state law is cited. But anyway, getting back to what I was saying is that respect Mr. Dr. Joyner, but he cited no law. He cited a commentary, but when it comes down to redistricting, when you already have districts, you have to establish a benchmark. And the benchmark is what it is, and it was narrowly tailored to comply with the Voting Rights Act. So DeSoto, if it was at large, so maybe it'll start in terms of Stonewall, but you already have cemented districts from the previous census, and you can't do that. And when it comes down to compactness, the only plans you had is that in North Carolina, when a congressional district went 40 miles down the interstate on that corridor. Other than that, this is one parish. When you say compact, that's not going to go get it anywhere because because you have rivers, you have odd-shaped census blocks throughout the whole parish that you one unit. So I don't think it have any legs to stand. It's like a political bluff that's being done because your present plan was passed by the Justice Department 10 years ago, 20 years ago, and no challenge. Now it's about, and Stonewall has been represented by Mr. Reggie Rowe, Mr. Baker, and now you, Mr. Kennison. But anyway, you have to read it and understand it in terms of what is what. I'm saying that you have a legal plan now, and Plan CC but anybody file lawsuits. But I have kept up in Louisiana for 43 years, and there's no lawsuit based on Dr. Joyner's claim has ever won. Has ever won. When you comply with the Voting Rights Act, when you comply with one person, one vote, that's it. Not what he's saying that because a certain district travels to the land area, you have a lot of rural area in DeSoto Parish that got to be covered. Right. But anyway, getting back to what I was saying is that, as I first said, Mr. Mitchell, you got 100 and some days left. Why don't you take a pause, do a continue, and see exactly what the plan is? Because what I do when it comes down 10 years ago, I met with each police juryman and talked about their options. Looked like I heard it hadn't been done. And you had a chance to see and talk to me as many times as possible when it comes down to redistricting. I would recommend to you to continue to the next meeting or to the next meeting to make sure you got it right. But you should have a chance to look at Plan CC. I was part of it. I think it was sent out to you on Thursday or Friday.
It was emailed out last week.
You're right. I think Ms. Jody sent it out.
They don't give me much time, Mr. Floyd.
No problem. But anyway, get back to what I was saying is that like I said, I've been doing this for 43 years, and there's nothing in case law as to what Dr. Joyner is saying, because you have a benchmark plan that you got to base your redistricting on, and it's not a question of a jump ball, because it's legislative deference. You, as the police jury, have the right to redistrict. If something found wrong, to fix it. It's not going. If you ever go to court, the judge is going to pick one plan or the other. It's going to pick your plan that has got all the legal criteria. It's never a jump ball that somebody's going to go to court. The judge is going to pick his plan over yours. It's going to be your plan the whole time.
So your professional opinion, does H satisfy the requirements of the law?
Guess what? I had to do the benchmark plan, look at I hadn't had a chance to look at H, because after all, what's going on with me, I'm doing Natchitoches.
Yes, sir. I understand. I just was asking.
No, I have not had a chance to. But let me just say this, though. It wasn't a good start that Plan C was not within 10%. And also, it cut up and sliced up Mansfield, and he could have left it like it was. So I have not looked.
We agree.
In the next 30 days, I could look at Plan H. I would recommend you not do anything tonight. Have Mr. Hefner here, because his initial ordinance is in violation of state law, because when you do precincts, you got to have at least 300 registered voters in the precincts, and you're creating precincts without 300 voters, and that's part of, I got the law, I can show it to your legal advisor. I would advise you take a pause, and next month, you get a chance to look at the plans, get a chance to look at the law, and go forward.
Thank you.
With it. But I wouldn't do either ordinance tonight, and you got all the way up until July the 11th to get it right.
Right.
Why not take the time to get it right?
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for answering that. Mr. Joyner, are you still there? Yeah, I was asking if you heard the question. I don't know if you heard my question.
And like,
Okay.
again, if I would love for Mr. Joyner to cite a case that you're supposed to ignore the benchmark, and it's a Section 2 and a Section 5 claim, because all cases.
Yes, sir.
Let me
With all
talk.
due respect,
No
let
problem,
him
no
answer.
problem.
Yes, sir.
Mr.
Please.
Floyd, let me have a floor, please. First of all, you do have a benchmark plan. It was the plan that was accepted by the jury in 2010, which is Mr. Floyd's plan. When you voted on Mr. Hefner's plan and then you reneged it, well, that kills it. Your benchmark plan is the one from 2010, and it is out of sync. It goes beyond 10%. It's just the thing that you start with. That's it. You start with all of your current precincts, and then you cut and divide as you need to. You try to keep all of your precincts at 300 and above. However, there's a caveat in the law that when you have these small precincts, you can combine unless they cross other boundaries. As of now, you can't do the thing that you start with. That's it. You start with all of your current precincts, and then cut and divide as you need to. You try to keep all of your precincts at 300 and above. However, there's a caveat in the law that when you have these small precincts, you can combine unless they cross other boundaries. As of now, you can't do the thing that you started with. That's it. You start with all of your precincts,
What?
and then
Oh.
cut and divide as you need to.
What's happening?
Try to keep all of your precincts at 300 and above. However, there's a caveat in the law that when
Speaking at
you
the same
have
time,
there's an
to say
echo.
something.
Hello. Hello.
And combine unless they
Mr. Jordan.
cross other boundaries.
He's not talking.
As of now, you can't do the thing that you started with. That's it. You start with all of your
Yeah, we're gonna have to move on. Hello. I don't know if y'all can hear or not.
Just to let you know, I'm not saying it over and over again.
Well, I know. I saw you drinking something, and you're still talking.
I'm not a ventriloquist.
Thank you. That's,
Technology is our friend.
We need him here in person.
yeah.
So, Mr. Joyner, do you, on my original question, does Plan H satisfy the requirements of the law?
I don't think you ought to do anything until you look at everything that's in front of you, and that's for all the jurors. Absolutely.
Okay.
If you need to delay, you need to delay.
Thank you, sir.
So he didn't answer.
Mr. Mitchell? Is Mr. John or,
To District Attorney.
Oh.
Sorry? Mr. Child?
Yes.
When we had our original meeting, I mean, Mr. Joyner said that we rejected
Mr.
that.
Joyner,
We didn't
the
reject
month-
it. There was just no motion. Nobody made a motion to approve it. Was it rejected at that point? Nobody made a motion at the last meeting.
What I understood him to talk about was Plan C that the jury did adopt and then unadopted.
Yeah. But what I got from what he says, he said when the jury rejected this plan, this one right here.
What he's saying
Yeah,
is when
Plan
the jury
C.
voted to rescind
C.
Plan C.
Yeah.
That's what he's
Okay.
talking about.
I thought he was talking about H. We've had so many plans, and so many maps in front of us. That's all I got.
Okay.
Thank
Any
you.
more discussion?
Yeah, I mean, this my take on it. Now, the only reason I voted to do anything with C because they said we wasn't within that 10%. To me, Mr. Hilton failed us right then, because we paid him to come up with us a plan that was going to work. However, he didn't do that. I think we need to look at our options instead of voting on just what Mr. Hefner said. And I'm saying that because I'm one of the people that's really not satisfied with it. And apparently, me and the other people that made the complaint too, because they sent another complaint with their own maps. So I'm telling y'all, we need to take a good long look and weigh all our options before we vote on a plan. Because like I say, Mr. Hefner, if he was his plans were so good, then we wouldn't have never ended up with a plan in the first place, which was C, that didn't work, Dwayne. It did not work.
Any more discussion? We'll have a motion.
You feel like we need to look at this again or what? You feel like we need to look at this again?
You can, what do you mean? You know you got to make a
Is there anything wrong with taking a little time to make sure we're getting this right? Is there anything wrong with that?
Nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that at all?
I withdraw my second.
Okay.
Okay. Well, Mr. Adam want to speak.
I just wanted to remind the jurors and the public of my presentation earlier, and Mr. Floyd was asking for citations of authority. Well, Miller versus Johnson, which is the seminal Supreme Court case, says a state may not, absent extraordinary justification, segregate citizens on the basis of race in its public parks, buses, golf courses, beaches, and schools. So did we recognize in Shaw that it may not separate its citizens into different voting districts on the basis of race. Then using the reason that you're trying to comply with the Voting Rights Act, it has to be an actual proof, not just the allegation of it. And that's where all of this comes down to is, are we still in this era that we need to segregate our citizens on race? That is ultimately what the question will be by some court somewhere. If this body can use traditional redistricting criteria, communities of interest, compactness, obviously the one vote, everybody has a vote, one person, one vote principles. But when you start making district lines and placing voters in districts simply because of their race, you can only do that if there is a compelling reason based upon a proven Voting Rights Act violation, not just the assertion of it, not just saying there is or saying you want it to be that way. So I'm not the expert to sit there and tell you that one plan will or will not pass constitutional muster, but I can tell you when districts are drawn for the purpose of race, I don't think you can defend that in the court of law.
Mr. Allen, with all due respect, I just want to say this because it's been on my heart for a long time.
I'm not trying to engage you.
But to me, it seems that you really pushing for the people that filed a complaint. Now, this is where I got the problem. Because one of the people in the complaint, I do know you and him used to be in
Miss
business.
Burrell.
This need to be said.
We're talking about the law.
Now, this need to be said. Because this the second time that Mr. Adams didn't advise us on something that to me sound like he pushing for the people with the complaint. But I do know you should be conflicted out for us advising this jury on this matter. Really, you really are. Because you got relationships with some of the complainants, and that's not a good thing. That really bothers me, and I tried to keep it and not say nothing. But since you keep advising us on it, I just feel like I need to call that out because, and I don't want to call the man's name, but As I recall, you used his building for your campaign headquarters. So,
Okay, Ms. Burrell, this what I'd like to do on this matter. I would like to, have a workshop on this matter and let it come out of committee.
Okay.
Administrative committee?
Right, let it come out of committee.
No, let it come out the former committee.
Right.
Administrative
But
committee.
it never had come out of committee yet.
Administrative, yeah.
Right, let it come out of committee, but we have a workshop first.
Miss-
Mr. DA, love your presentation.
Can-
That's an old law, because what we're doing here is narrowly tailoring to comply with the Voting Rights Act. And so whatever you're saying.
Just state that Voters' Rights Act.
What happened is that he's citing old cases. Since that time, you've had Section 2 and Section 5 there. All you have to do, you narrowly tailoring the results of the district. And it is a compelling state interest that when the benchmark plan comes.
Ms. Floyd, I would,
Just let you know.
I would be glad to sit down with you and discuss it in great length, not here in front of everyone else.
Yeah, excuse me. Excuse me. This is why I want to have a workshop and invite you and the rest of them, and then we can have that discussion. But we have other things on the agenda tonight.
All winners in the state of Louisiana.
Okay, we will be moving on to resolutions.
We have a motion
You have a motion
to
to-
table this, or?
Yeah, he withdraws. his
Don't
motion.
table.
Okay, we need a motion to,
So it's failed without a motion and a second as of right now?
Yes, like last time,
Okay.
when nothing done on it.
okay.
So we're able to bring it back and treat it necessary how we need to be.
Mr. Ryder, can you at least coordinate scheduling?
Yes, we will.
Right. Thank you.
Yes.
Before a meeting is scheduled, so I'll be, because I'm up doing Shreveport, Cattle.
Yes, sir.
and Natchitoches.
We will do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, resolution. No, six working hand in hand, both together. But they together. Okay, resolution, recommend authorizing president to execute a resolution approving the handling of the election of the Fire Protection District 8 of Parish of DeSoto, State of Louisiana on Saturday, April 29, 2023, to authorize the continuance of a special tax therein.
So move.
Got a mover by Mr. Ernell, second by Ms. Burrell. Discussion?
Okay.
Not, please vote. Motion passes. Number 8, recommend adopting a resolution to authorize open an interest-bearing bank account named sinking fund.
So moved.
Motion.
I got a motion by Mr.
Second.
Holmes, second by Mr. Dwayne.
Mr. Ross,
Discussion?
I'd just like to say, per the law, I've got to abstain from voting
Yes,
on
sir.
this matter. I just wanted to be on the record.
Thank you. Any more discussion on this particular item? If none, please vote. It's two remaining. Okay. All right, motion passes. All right, administrative item.
All right, administrative items recommends authorizing the parish administrator to sign lease agreements with Canon Financial Services for copiers.
So move.
Have a motion by Mr. Mitchell.
Got a motion by Mr. Fuller.
Mr. Fuller.
Fuller.
Who's second?
Second.
Second by
Mr.
Mitchell.
Mr. Mitchell, second. Discussion? If none, please vote. Motion passes.
All Number 10, recommends authorizing the president to sign the amendment to owner-engineer agreement, naming Michael Norton, parish administrator, the owner's primary representative.
Need a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Mr. Holmes made the motion.
I second.
Mr. Jones, second.
Now, what is this again?
Discussion.
Yeah, what is this?
Just giving him authority to sign, what do you say, ownership of representative of the parish.
Yeah, this changes me from, this changes Mr. Brown, the owner's representative for the detention facility, to me, as your administrator.
Oh, okay. Hold on, okay.
Please vote.
Thank you.
Motion passes. Budget and finance item.
Budget and Finance recommends authorizing the administrator to sign the proposal for the new accounting software with Edmunds.
So move.
Got a motion by Mr. Rowe.
Second.
Second by Mr. Kennington. Discussion. Being none, please vote. Motion passes.
Recommends authorizing the parish treasurer to open a business credit card to replace the existing card in Linda Gatlin's name.
So move.
Got a motion by Mr. Fuller.
Second.
Got a second by Mr. Rowe. Discussion.
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
because this involves opening another banking account, I'll be abstaining from this vote.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Any more discussion?
Hey, just open a bank account or just
Just
to start
change
another
the card name.
Just start another credit card.
It's a credit card that runs through our bank. Well,
Okay.
the application has my bank logo on it, but it's not run through my bank, it's run through another bank.
Okay, let's understand that.
Please vote.
Number 12.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bank I work for.
I'll give it to you.
And it is my bank, I bank there.
Motion passes. Building and properties.
Building and Properties recommends authorizing the administrator to sign an agreement with Permatox Pest Control to treat termites at the 4-H building.
So moved.
A move by Ms. Burrell,
Second.
second by Mr. Fuller. Discussion.
Yes, sir. I think at the other meeting we had, I asked, was all our buildings protected by termites?
No, we're still waiting
still-
to get some quotes from them.
Oh, we're waiting on
to-
quotes?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right.
We've already requested that information.
Okay, good.
Any more discussion? Not, please vote. Motion passes. Policies and procedure item.
Recommends approving the updated version of the vacation leave policy.
So move.
Got a move by Mr. Fuller,
Second.
second by Mr. Kennington. Discussion.
Mr. Mike, now what you say changed in these policies?
Section D in vacation, and subsequently, this will be the same thing in the next one as well. We added that for newly hired employees whose employment begins after beginning of the month of the results of the employee working less than 15 working days in the initial month of employment. Essentially, this is a policy that the jury has been doing, that the office has been doing for years. It's just never been in writing. So if an employee starts, say, January 20th, they're not eligible to accrue vacation or sick time for that month. It starts the facility.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Any more discussion? If not, please vote. Have 3 remaining. Motion passes.
Recommends approving the updated sick leave policy.
So moved.
The motion by Mr. Baker.
Second.
Got a second by Mr. Mitchell. Discussion? If none, please vote. Motion passes.
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
that was the last item, correct?
No, sir.
More?
Okay. Road items.
Oh, wrong page. And a lot more. I just had a statement.
All right, road item.
Recommend authorize the administrator to sign an agreement with Bar Burn Root and for the gas boy system services.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Arnell Jones.
Second.
Second by Mr. Fuller. Discussion? Being none, would you please vote? Motion passes.
Recommend authorizing the parish administrator to sign a lease agreement with EKOS for upgrade to the software for the fuel system at the road department.
So move.
Moved by Mr. Fuller.
Yeah.
Second by Ms. Burrell. Discussion? Not none, please vote. Motion passes.
Recommend authorizing the president to sign an annual DOTD uniform relocation assistance for real property acquisition act assurance letter.
So move.
Moved by Mr. Fuller. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Jones. Discussion? None, please vote. Motion passes.
Recommending approving change order number 6 for 2008 DeSoto Parish drainage improvements and road repair, Cash Blackman, Red Bluff, White Springs Road, 2008 FEMA.
So move.
Got a motion by Mr. Fuller.
Second.
Second by Mr. Mitchell. Discussion? If none, please vote. Motion passes.
Recommend approving amendment number 1 for project DeSoto Parish Roads in Dolly Hills.
So move.
Yeah.
A move by Mr. Fuller, second by Ms. Burrell. Discussion?
I'll do it.
If none, please vote. Motion passes.
Recommend approving amendment number 2 project DeSoto Parish FEMA drainage improvements.
So move.
Move by Mr. Mitchell.
Second.
Second by Mr. Fuller.
On with Mitch.
Discussion? If none, please vote. Motion passes.
Recommend approving amendment number 3 project DeSoto Parish FEMA drainage improvements. Why is that on there twice? Okay, once, 2, once, 3.
Yeah, project 3. So move.
Got a move by Mr.
Yeah.
Mitchell, second by Ms. Burrell.
We vote.
Discussion? If not, please vote. Motion passes.
Recommend approving amendment number 3 project Gravel Point Road Phase 2 and 3.
So move.
Moved by Mr. Fuller, second by Ms. Burrell. Discussion? No discussion, please vote.
We vote.
Motion passes.
Recommend approving amendment number 1 project for Hannah Tucker Road.
So move.
Moved by Ms. Burrell,
Second.
Second by Mr. Baker. Discussion? No discussion, please vote. Got one remaining.
Master Boy? Oh, okay.
Motion passes.
Recommend amendment, approving amendment number 3, project Railroad Street drainage and road improvements.
So moved.
Got a move by Ms. Burrell. Got a second. I'll second. If any discussion,
Don't they get to say you paid?
if none, please vote.
My emotions.
See that? Why you over that daydream?
Motion passes. Solid waste item.
Solid Waste recommends authorizing the parish administrator to accept proposals for the emission monitoring for the Monday landfill with Providence.
So moved.
Second.
A move by Mr. Ernell Jones, second by Mr. Reggie Rowe. Discussion? If none, please vote. Motion passes.
Recommends authorizing the parish administrator to sign proposals from Fourier, I can pronounce this.
The Aubrey.
Aubrey Engineers LLC for Title V Air Reporting EPA mandatory greenhouse gas reporting for 2022. LPDES, outfall monitoring, groundwater monitoring, waste compaction monitoring, assistance and services, preparation of updated closure and post-closure cost, solid waste permit, renewal application, preparation and submission, engineering assistance and construction quality assurance services for preparation of subgrade for cell 10, preliminary feasibility study for property acquisition and leachate management study for the Monday landfill.
Best part there, can you read that, please?
Right on the thing.
So move.
Second. Move by Mr. Fuller, second by Ms. Burrell. Any discussion? If none, please vote.
What was all that again? It's at the bottom of the page, it says adjourn.
I know. I still got something. I'd like to add.
Okay.
Sorry, mate.
I'm gonna be mad at the boy.
Motion passes.
I did hear Mr. Floyd said if we went with his plan, it would cost us absolutely nothing. Is that what he said?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and the next thing I want some clarity on was, we're not gonna be able to have two demographers in here at the same time. You're not gonna have anything but debate.
No, no.
So I would hope that y'all would take that in mind.
Yes, sir.
If you schedule Mr. Hefner or Mr. Floyd, or however y'all wanna do that. But I would suggest we don't need a sparring match in here.
Exactly.
None of us can make a.
I understand. I
Okay.
understand.
Could I ask a clarification on that? Because it was, I mean, I didn't get that from what y'all were talking about earlier. I got the
Exactly,
impression you
man.
wanted all of them here
Yeah, all of it
at the
said
same
everybody here.
time.
Said all
So
of
you
them.
want 3 different workshops with 3 different
No,
demographers?
no. I hope
I mean,
not.
I don't mind trying to set that up. I just want to make sure I
3
get
different
direction from the
workshops.
jury.
Oh.
Mr. Rowe?
Yeah, Ms. McKay, in order to accept Plan CC, do we have to get out from under our contract with the first one?
I mean, I don't believe so. I mean, you hired someone to draw those maps for you.
He drew 'em.
Now,
We have to
if
pay
you
him.
were to ask
We have to
him
pay
to
him.
modify, I'm sorry, if you were to ask him to modify a plan to reflect some other plan, I mean, that's what you've been doing this whole time, change it to look like this, change it to look like that. If you ask him to change it to look like, CC or something close to CC, I mean, I think that's the jury's prerogative. I mean, the person you have under contract is still the person you have under contract, and you've been making modifications this whole time. So if there's another workshop you go through and you modify it to look like some other plan, then I think that's what you do. I mean, what your terms of the contract are with him, how many times he comes, and if there's additional fees or whatever. I don't know that contract was entered in before I got here. But in terms of if there's anything wrong with you looking at some other plan, and if you as a body decide this is the one we want, or this is almost the one we want, I don't see how that's an issue.
Right.
What I see as the issue is that he is going to represent his plan if it is challenged. But if we accept someone else's plan, then I doubt he's going to accept responsibility for that, or he's going to
We wouldn't expect him to.
take it to court.
We wouldn't expect him
We
to.
wouldn't expect him to,
Yeah, we
whoever
wouldn't-
he
if he-
dropped
we would
on.
not have
Well, I
plan.
mean, I think he is the expert you
wouldn't expect him to
asked
adopt
for,
it.
so if you,
I mean, I wouldn't look at it.
if you,
We're not going to court.
and you
All
hired,
you gotta
if
do is
you
pay him.
said,
Hold up.
if you said, we'll take a look at this, you know, CC or ZZ or whatever plan it is, let's go with ZZ. You know, do you think there's issues with it? Then I think you have to respect his opinion, and he may not have any issue with ZZ. He might. I mean, I don't know. Till he looks at the options on the table, and if you as a body want his input, you know, as to other possible plans, then, you know, he may say it's perfectly fine, or he may say it's not. Or 6 of you may say, ooh, I don't like that one at all. I want to go back to H revised, or I want XX. I mean, you know, that's,
All we have to do is pay him. All we legally do is pay him for his work. Whether or not we accept the plan or not, we obligated to pay him, and that's it.
I guess,
Right,
Mr.
Mr.
Hefner, but I guess my point is, you've been asking him to present you with a bunch of modified plans
And we pay him
based
for
on
such.
your workshop results and the jurors' input.
I don't think
So,
so.
Yeah, he gonna get
So-
paid regardless. But I don't think.
Am I to take this that y'all want 3 separate meetings?
I'm not in charge.
No, I ain't
No,
doing that.
we don't need.
One meeting, just spread them apart 30 minutes.
Right, yeah.
We need them all here the same night?
The one meeting, they could be there.
One meeting.
Okay.
Lily, have we paid him anything yet?
Yes, sir, we have.
How much we paid him, how much we owe him?
I will have to find that out. I don't think we owe him anything else. I think he's been paid in full.
See what I'm talking about?
I want to say about 20 grand, but I'll have to verify that and get back with y'all.
Why we pay him before he got through?
I gotta go to work.
Yeah.
I move that we adjourn.
Mr. President, before we do that, Mr. Fuller and I had opportunity to go to NACO conference,
Yes, sir.
and we will be bringing back a little report of some of the things that went on at the conference. Some
Yes,
things that
sir.
benefit us.
Thank you. A motion to adjourn. Mr. Fuller made it. Everybody seconded it.
you want to second it?
I
The motion to
second.
adjourn?
I second.
All right, there you go. You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, yeah.